guys. Today we're going to talk about filters. And I had an idea to show you some fancy schmancy way that they work, but I'm going to keep this simple. There's two kinds of filters in photography. One is effects filters. Those are things like polarizers, right angles, tri-stars, all kinds of fancy stuff. I don't know why the electronic flash on. I don't need that on. It's pretty friggin' bright out here already. Let's see, we can turn that off here. Yep, maybe I can. Let's see. Yep, that's better. So like I said, in photography, there's a variety of filters. Incidentally, my glasses have a filter of their own. These glasses have a filter, is called a photograde filter, that can get dark and bright sun. Okay. So, color correcting filters, I have one here, and this is an 80B filter. And what this is for color film to be used in indoors to simulate the white balance that would be what you would expect under, in this case, is an 80B, so it's designed for 2700 degree Kelvin incandescence, or LEDs at the same color temperature. And you probably may not be able to notice the difference, but you can see that it's a very blue filter. And most color print films are going to be daylight balanced, not tungsten balanced. Some movie films are tungsten balanced. For example, the Vision 3 movie films are either one tungsten or daylight balanced. Always makes sense to keep them in the cases. I've seen a variety of people do a variety of things, like they can stack a bunch of filters on top of each other and store them away. This is an effects filter, or another form of an effects filter. This is used in black and white photography, specifically to accent certain things. For example, you can use this one to change the scene. You can always see the clouds pop out a bit. It's a yellow-green filter, and this is a Y filter, also known as a K2 filter. This is made by Hoya, and so this is very commonly used in black and white photography to help improve some of the effects. Storing the filters, as I can see, I have them in cases. And do you need to keep the other cardboard box? Well, no, not really. You can get away with the box if you want to. Polarizers can be used in both digital SLRs and, of course, regular film cameras. Of course, if you don't have filter threads in your camera, it's hard to hold these things to your camera. But another thing you can do is there's a different variety of systems besides screw-ons you can use. Like Conklin has a system for different sizes, like System 1 through System 5. So if you really want to seriously make your picture really pop open, this is the filter for you. Unfortunately, you can see the biggest problem with this thing is it's very thick. And it's, because of its thickness, it's not going to fit in here very well. Maybe this filter case might fit better than this one, even though they look almost the same. Yeah. I'm wondering if this case might be slightly different. Okay, so the circular polarizer. There's also a linear polarizer. Let me explain the difference. No, not really much different. Yeah, that's better fit. A linear polarizer really does not work too good for cameras with automatic focus controls. For that, you want to use a circular polarizer. Let's see. Now, we talked about exposure meters, and I mentioned that when you're taking a reading, sometimes your readings can get all kind of bullshitty. And I'm going to set the, see right now, at 2/50th of a second. Please note, I don't even have a filter in here. It's saying that 16th of a second is pretty good. But whenever you add a filter to the lens, it's going to reduce the value a lot. Okay? This here is as close to neutral density as you're going to get. If you want to have a real perfectly ultimate neutral density filter, you can totally verify it or vary it. Just put two of those on this here, and I can already see at at least one stop, two stops. This sucker is going to take two stops out. So instead of shooting at f16, I'm going to shoot at f8. So you at 2/50th of a second. So that means that if you want to see the sky effect, you need to be aware of that. I can show you the same effect on my phone if I move my phone over here. Let me do that. Just bring it over here so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Okay. And you can see we have our little college, and you can see how it pops right out there, and you can see that it looks less washed out. What you would do then is polarizers work best when you're at least 45 to 90 degrees. I don't want to drop this. This thing is really expensive. Alright, just try to show it to you here. You can see how it changes the scene and the colors pop out better. Unfortunately, I don't know of anybody. There you go. You can see it. I don't know anybody who makes a bracket that lets you shoot with a filter on a phone. If they do make one, I would definitely be interested to see it. Being so many new phones and stuff today are using fancy digital controls, the filter manufacturers have found themselves pretty much out of a job, except for special effects filters. I don't know what the heck is on this table. Somebody originally put this bed liner on this table, and it stood up pretty good, but I can see where somebody obviously had managed to burn the bed liner on the table, which makes sense. But mention the iCup. The iCup, I do notice a difference. It does sharpen the picture a tiny bit. It does nothing for my right eye. It does seem to sharpen on my left eye just a tiny tad. What it's supposed to do is it goes onto your camera lens like this, and it's supposed to make it easier for you to see and crop the shot, and it does. But I found it easier, just like it was when I was in high school. I used to have contact lenses. Is that it's easier to shoot a camera without glasses on. But if you do, please understand that these are photograys. So which means that now these photograys, of course, I can sort of see a shot, but the exposure meter is kind of off in the distance somewhere. Now, yeah, look at this dial. I changed the battery on my meter because the battery apparently was going bad on this meter. Alright, now let's talk about another thing. About the meter. I was showing you the other meter, and some people ask me, why in the bloody hell am I using a meter from the 70s? Or I think it's the 70s, maybe the late 60s. Well, why not? Like I explained to one man, I said, it's what I have, and a few times I've ever had to use it for anything. This is a good time to talk about when it might actually make sense to use it. I think I brought it with me. No, I did. I'm just going to dig it out here. Maybe I didn't. Oh, yeah. Maybe I didn't. Huh. Well, the Gaussian meter, if I had it with me, apparently I left it at home, is an example of the kind of tool that you would use for if your meter craps out. I mentioned that. And, yeah, I must have left it at home. Yeah, kind of sucks. I thought I took it with me. I guess I left it at the house. Anyway, the point is that what would you use as a meter is like as if your camera meter, the battery goes dead on you, for example. Or if you want to get, like I said, multiple readings and you want to get from multiple places, and I'm used to something called the zone system. I don't really know much about the zone system enough to really tell you anything about it, but to know that Ansel Adams, which was one of the best known pioneers in photography, came up with a variety of techniques that we use today in film and, yes, in digital. So let's talk about the fact is that I'm shooting this on a phone, and I'm showing you a single lens reflex film camera. And I mentioned to you that this camera here, right now it's got color film in here. And there's some beautiful footage. There's some beautiful trees starting to bud. There's the cherry blossoms over there. Let's just see how much I'm coming here. You can see the cherry blossoms over there at CVS and the fact that they're budding. And fortunately I have to take my, there we go. You can see that the cherry blossoms over there at CVS are budding. And you can see here the scenery. This is really nice picture. This is the kind of thing I'd like to shoot at this time of year. This is really nice picture. That's the college over there. That's Founders Hall. And there you can see the thing. Okay? Looks really cool. Absolutely cool. And it's amazing to think about how much photography has changed, and yet how much it hasn't changed. It is true that thanks to digital photography, there'll be less needs of these things than they were back in the old school. Maybe you might still need a polarizer filter, and maybe you may want special effect ones for black and white. But most all phones, cameras, sensors, and digital SLRs are got built-in support for built-in filters. So you really don't need too many of these. However, you can certainly use regular filters like these two, or even this color correcting filter here for special effects. And you can really seriously accent certain looks. But with digital cameras, everything, why would I need to go through this much effort when I can just go ahead, go to the built-in camera selection filters and change views? Well, I know with this phone here, I can't use, unless I can go in post-production, I can add filters to it. In some apps like Open Photo, I can add filters. But if you really want to see the real awesome effect, you need to be able to use additional filters. So, yes, with my LG phone here, I wish to God that it had an ability, like an adapter ring, so that I can go ahead and use standard, 49mm filters and screw it onto the back of the phone, and then I would be able to use the filters I already have here. I also have at home a deep red filter, which is designed to be used for infrared film. For really striking results. Unfortunately, infrared film is really hard to find these days, but if you do find some and you want to try infrared, it's really kind of cool the way it works. It almost makes a negative image even when it's positive, and that's just the coolest thing about infrared photography. And it's just the kind of things, like I said, you can do if you have a lot of filters like this. I also have magnifying filters, and I have a 1, a 2, and a 4 magnifying filter, 49 millimeter, which I can use it with this lens. I can use it with the standard 50 millimeter lens as well. And this will allow me to really seriously get really up and close and personal. And for example, if you want to take pictures of the dandelions over here, which you talks about, let's say, I don't know if I can do it with this camera, but what the hell, I'll try. Let's go to the dandelions. I'm showing them out of the ground here. It's called macro photography. Hard to do with a camera phone like this, but you can sort of see the effect I'm talking about. Whereas if you go ahead, I can put my hand right here. This is really hard to do because the sun's really bright here. But you can actually get right in and go right for the... And if you had a macro lens like I do have on my other camera, I can blow it in. I can go right for the flower, right down to the pistils and stamens, and really show results. Same thing with the lawn. And that's the cool thing about photography, is that you can do that. You're not stuck, limited to just taking pictures of the most boring stuff. People, places, street scenes, nature. Now, let's talk about that. Nature. Is it better to shoot pictures in color, or better to shoot pictures in black and white? Well, it depends on a variety of things. Number one, what's your subject? What do you want to do? If I'm going based on ease of work, and I'm talking about if I want to go straight now, black processing, developing negative film is not much harder than doing with color or with monochrome film, because they've simplified it now to you can get the kits with the 3 chemicals, and you don't have to worry about the 6 that used to be required. So yes, you can definitely do color film at home now. Relatively simple. It's still temperature and time critical, but it is going to make it possible for you to do photography at home. Same thing with color slide film. But then there's the issue of what you're going to do with the finished negatives. Are you going to go into the dark room and use an enlarger and then do traditional color paperwork, which more than likely is probably going to be done in a drum. It's not going to be done in trays. It's usually done in a drum. And I think it's using like the R3000 color system. It's a lot more work, and it's like doing a tank, developing a single sheet of film. It's gonna take a while. Once you crop the exposure, once you set the exposure, once you figure what to set on the diachronic head, what levels of cyan, magenta, and yellow you want, and then you're gonna go ahead. You're gonna expose the negative onto this paper, and then you're going to develop this paper in a drum processing tank. It's just like the daily tank I showed you, except of course it's designed for, it can also be used for sheet film, 8.5 by 11 sheet film. But usually it's used for, in this case, for developing paper. But you can certainly use the same thing to develop regular sheet film, such as 4 by 5 by 10. One sheet at a time. If you're going to scan the negatives into the computer, it doesn't really make a difference. It's just a matter of, which one you want to deal with. Okay, name your poison. For me, I've always found that black and white was obviously the easiest way to do things. But I do shoot color once in a while. As I said, I got some color plus 200 still in this camera. I have not yet figured out what to shoot yet. I want to try to get out more to more places and take more pictures. And so one of the things I want to do is I want to definitely take pictures more of the construction site where the old gas station was and see if I can try to maybe document more of what's going on over there. Because right now, they've just put up a small construction site trailer there. And I see some new vehicles there. I don't really see a lot of new work being done at this point. But that's okay. We'll figure that out. So yeah, you can do a lot with different color film and pictures and things like that. And it would be very easy to do some cool things. Now, let's talk about another thing real quick when we talk about photography. I mentioned when you saw me trying to aim a picture of the dandelion that maybe you didn't realize it, but I couldn't really see the dandelion in my iPhone screen or my Android phone screen because the screen was too washed up because of the sun. That's kind of what we have in iCup. It's the same thing. Or like one of those shutter cloths or focusing cloth that a view camera user would use to specifically make it easier to focus the screen or things like that. Something like a cloth like that would make sense unless your phone's got a really, 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 really bright screen, which my LG M210 does not have, a super bright screen in bright sun. But that's one of the reasons why it's ironic, because when I'm outside, I use this camera, and I usually have less of a problem focusing and composing this and the shutter speed outside because it's so bright. It's got a through the lens viewfinder because it's a single lens reflex. Whereas with the other camera, it gives a real challenge to do it. So now I do is now I know the exposure, F11. So I'm gonna set this thing to right here and take a picture. I got it cropped. Actually, see the exposure went up just a tiny bit, but it's not much. There you go. And that's it. Right now, I'm just trying to finish off this color plus film right now. It's in the camera. So it's an exercise. Because I also have. Let's talk about another thing, about another type of film that you sometimes see. Ilford makes this. And Kodak used to make this. And this is it. This is called chromogenic film. This is C41 process, 400 speed, BW 400 CN. This is similar to the Ilford XP2. And it's nice about this is this uses C41 black and white film, and this will give you a nice black and white image, and any color film processor can develop this for you and print it. And I have a couple pictures from this type of film on my computer. Another thing is this is the standard T-Max 100, same type of film that was used last time, and I'm going to be shooting some more of this, about 5 rolls of this for the summer. This should be plenty. I'm going to try to get some more pictures in with that film. And I want to get some more of these filters and try to get them up for special effects. And lastly but not leastly, I'm going to put this camera case back together. Now, here's the biggest sore sticky wicket. I mentioned before that the problem with this viewfinder is some of these, this one does. Some of these do not. You can flip this one over, and it can still close the case. At least, partially close it. And even if you leave it on like that, you can still use it because you can still focus through it, even when it flipped over like that. Actually, it works out very good, actually. Yeah, it does. Okay, so you can leave this on here, but if for some reason you don't know if you can, you can always just try it out that way. And this camera here is going to give you, pretty good results. This is a fully manual camera. This is not an automatic camera. This is not like the Pentax ME Super or some of the fancier Minoltas or Olympus ones, or even some of the very later Nikons. This is completely manual. There's not a single automation thing in this at all. The only thing it has built in is a through the lens exposure meter, and that's it. And I showed you last time that the exposure meter is what they call centrally weighted. So in other words, it's in the center is where the exposure meter is. So if I want to, I just look at the microprism on my camera, and we can almost visualize it. It's hard to see in the bright sun, but here it is. If I want to go ahead and I can critically focus it, like that. Yeah, and this lens is kind of missing cheap because it's right now it's at infinity, but because it's that close. But let's say it wants to focus on, why not, the lens cap. So I would go ahead and I would dial it in to where I see where it says Vivitor stops and focus. This is a wide angle lens. And what I'm doing is if I want to set the exposure, because I don't want it getting cloudy, but it's also out of the sun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set the exposure as best I can. And there I have it, and then I want to take a shot of it. I could take a shot of it, but I can also, because this is such a, it does have micro focusing to a point. Yeah, it does. And not as much as it does with the close and focusing filters I mentioned earlier. Then that thing will seriously blow your eyeballs. In with absolute wow, you know. So color film, great. Let's talk about that. Since I mentioned most color film on the market is set up for daylight. And let's say you want to take existing indoor photography with color film. Well, let me tell you a secret. You realize how many stops I'm going to lose with an ADB filter, which is like 5 to 6. Then you're going to have to realize that you're going to need to seriously have some serious fast emulsion. Something similar to like 1000 ISO, 800 ISO would be two good films to use, because 1000 ISO, like the old Kodak Color VR 1000 film, is going to give you that additional resolution that is going to seriously make it easier to see. I'm sure there's a modern day version of that specifically, but you're going to get more grain like that. If you're going to shoot slide film, right now, there's not too many slide films that would be even ideal candidates for outdoor or for indoor photography under an ADB filter. So I wouldn't waste your time, because even the new Ektachrome E100D is not going to be good for indoor photography, because as I said, you're going to lose 6 stops and you're going to end up with a picture that's going to be so damn slow shutter speed or very wide open apertures that you're going to definitely be probably just want to go grab your flash out of your camera bag and get started. Now, I didn't talk about flashes, but let's talk about that. There are times when you're going to want to use a flash, and there's the most common flash on the market today is what they call electronic flashes. But back in the early days of photography, there were things called flash bulbs. Now, depending on what kind of electronic flash you're going to get, most consumer grade camera flashes are not really that wicked bright. They're bright enough. Like, for example, the ones in the Instamatic cameras are bright enough to get you a good shot. But when you want to, say, take a picture of an interior, say, like of a big auditorium or something like that, you're going to need something, or architectural work inside, you're going to need something with a bigger, brighter, more powerful flash. Well, obviously you could spend money now and buy such a flash gun, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. Or, as it was very common in the case, a company called Mega Flash came out, I don't know if they're still in business, but they did buy up some of the old flashbulb technology and came up with some new giant flashbulbs that were absolutely insane in candle power. These things were the beasts. I have never seen an electronic flash that a consumer grade person would have that would even get close to the brightness of a flashbulb. Now, this camera can use both an electronic flash, and I can also use M3 flash bulbs, because I have M3 flash holder too, which is an old modified Polaroid flash holder. When you want to talk about light numbers, the existing flash I have now cannot even hold a candle to the M3s. The M3s at the same brightness, same exposure level, the same film speed is like almost 10 stops brighter at 100 foot. Just at 100 foot, I can shoot a picture at f8 and with my flash bulbs, whereas the same picture shot with my digital camera, I can't even shoot even in f2. So, at 100 feet away. So, that means that you obviously are going to benefit when you want raw power. The flash bulb is still king. Unless you want to go into the super highly expensive flashes, and then it becomes a moot point. But for the few times that you want to shoot fancy color pictures from huge, outdoor scenes, yeah, flash bulbs are still, you want to be an option for you for those few times that you're going to want to do it. And most people, electronic flash is fine. I don't have a problem with electronic flash. Just like I said, I have one. I also have the flash bulbs. I don't have the flash bulbs with me. I don't have the electronic flash with me, but I do got them. And they do seriously pump out some serious power. However, there is a slight problem with the flash bulbs. I'm going to see what that is. Originally, Polaroid had designed the flash bulbs to fire off at 1.5 volts. Oh gee, you know what? The new flash bulbs I bought a couple years ago, they require 3. So 1.5 volts, it does not fire. So I kept thinking I had bad flash bulbs. I know, now look at the box that says requires 3 plus volts. I'm like, oh, okay. So I can get a couple of CR2 batteries, or even the other types of batteries, such as the just the standard half AA lithium batteries, lithium manganese, and I'm going to get that extra brightness, and then the bulbs, and then I can seriously pump 6 volts out, and that'll definitely fire the flash igniter on the bulb, and they will definitely have a big bright flash. And that's exactly what I would do. But a few times I need to use a flash bulb, which I probably can count like 1 or 2 times on my fingers in the last year or 2 years, maybe. That would be the way to go. And flash bulbs, unfortunately, are getting hard to find. But the good news is flash bulbs, if treated well, will not expire. They, as long as they remain airtight, as long as they're not damaged, cracked, and because the way they work, they're incendiary devices. If flash bulbs are treated good, you're fine. Keep them away from static electricity, because they can cause them flash, and it could be really bad, especially if for some reason the plastic coating is damaged, and all of a sudden you're gonna have broken glass flying everywhere. So ideally, especially around children or people or folks in photography, you want to seriously use a translucent plastic to potentially protect from any potential exploding flash bulbs. They do happen. Some of the earlier photographers back in the old days using number 3s, flash bulbs, but sometimes would try to shove some of those big bad boys in their back pockets, and they would burn their pockets, because sometimes the flash bulbs would spontaneously fire off, and and cause damage to their clothes and to their skin. That's another thing. Don't do that. Don't shove any flesh rolls in your pocket, because if they're gonna go off, they can cause some really bad burns, and you don't want that to happen. But anyway, that's something for another topic for another day. But the thing is I came out here specifically to enjoy the weather, and that's the reason I'm out right now, is because the weather is cooperating, and it's a nice environment. It's a nice chance to see what's going on in Winstead and things like that. And it's warm. It's just going to be nice to do something outside, so I'm out here. But for now, I guess this is going to be enough video to edit. For the time being, stay out of trouble. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.